800-volt update, new CPU, hardware on the interior and some other interesting updates for the Polestar 3, this sibling of the Volvo EX90. How good is it now? We're going to drive it for you here today with Thomas and Autogefuehl의 in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the updated Polestar 3. And by the way, behind us, one of the most beautiful areas in Germany, the Chiemsee. This very beautiful lake here, also very famous by tourists that come from abroad, and we have a beautiful scenery spot here with the lake in the background, so you can enjoy both the car and also the scenery. In the front we can see this very dramatic Polestar design where we have here the air that goes through this front wing, so to speak. Very interesting. Then they have here this whole sensor and camera zone, and this is the color of a storm. It's like a grayish color, so to speak. And this vehicle here can be bought with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive 6.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. We have the all-wheel drive version, and you have an electric motor, an additional one in the front as well at 4.7, or with the performance pack at 3.9 seconds then in the acceleration figure. 20 to 22 inch wheels. We have here the 20 inch wheels because always when it's possible, I always try to get cars that are not spec'd out to the max. So here 20 inch wheels. But the all-wheel drive and also the big battery here, because that's also good for the final consumption test and probably the one that most people will go for. So dual motor and 106 kilowatt hours. And that one is the bigger battery. The smaller battery is at 92 kilowatt hours. So both reasonably sized, I would say, and now big update for the charging. Now at 800 volt, the charging flap is on the other side on the driver's door. You can see once again this sporty Polestar design with a wing that laps over a little bit. And here I reactivated the light here for you. It's pretty cool in this C-span, and also here on top of that you can see the light bar shines through here, but also on the top. Then to the charging flap, as I said, now 800 volt technology, 22 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. That's very important now for both batteries, and 11 kilowatt AC. No 22 kilowatt option there, and then the DC peak is either at 310 or at 350 kilowatt for the bigger battery. I think we can handle some good range for that. Of course, we'll do an extensive consumption test here for you today. Important also that they have new hardware behind the infotainment system, a new CPU unit, because they had some struggles with that initially and wasn't keeping up with the rest of the technology of the car. And also important to know for existing Polestar 3 customers, very rarely does that happen, that you can actually go to the dealer and have that CPU hardware retrofitted for your Polestar 3. And I think that is also good customer service. By the way, since the keycard is in the vehicle, I always let one of the windows down just in case the car closes itself. You know, the manufacturers always say the cars don't do that, but sometimes they do. So either I get the keys outside or I have one window down there. So very interesting technological facts and so on, but of course this is also about how it does drive. One our option is also interesting is the air suspension. You can get that optional for the all-wheel drive or standard for the performance option. It's not equipped with this vehicle here today because I also want to find out how does it actually drive without the air suspension, and then also can give you some advice which one to go for and which one you can maybe leave out. Frank, you first have to unlock it from inside here, and then you have to pull here on the right side. Then there is a front with an interesting cover. Look at that. So then you can fold like this, and then it can house a charging cable. Yeah, not much more, maybe a little bit. Oh, isn't that cute? So you have the keycard here, otherwise you have your smartphone, and then when you open the vehicle right here, then these door handles come towards you. Then they give you some physical feedback actually. Then door closing sound is solid, like that. Here as well. And also important, here, this also is equipped with the Plus package. I need to put the keycard right there, so we get some power. Here we have both in the front and in the rear the laminated windows. These are the acoustic windows, and of course very good to have them for the motorway. And then inside of the doors, here we have some insert for the Bose sound system already. Speakers are hidden. This is then the optional, which is also included in this Prime package. And then we have some fabric on top here, also soft underneath. sadly only 2 window levers, so you have to press here and then, for the rear windows. I prefer 4 windows. Tell me what you think about that. The lower part here, is a nice surface, how you feel it, but still hardback. I would wish for some fabric right there. The lower part here is at least also, let's say, a little bit softer. The Bowers & Wilkins sound system is really great sound, can only recommend that. And that one then also comes with active noise cancellation. Going to talk about that when we drive it. Here, news with the steering wheel. Before it was like a black area. Now these areas are also like show what you actually do. Also here on the right side with these arrows, and this totally makes sense because before, as I said, there was like a black area and you couldn't really know what you're doing. This has been improved now. Also animal-free steering wheel. BMW offers softer solutions for that one, but still it's fine. The instruments are really small and are directly connected to the column right here. Then we have more soft, let's say like this fabric tech-alike surface on the dashboard. These seats here are also high-grade leatherette, and they are like this, or they're also available with some quilting here on the top. That would also be possible. Interesting is that the top here, this is even softer and perforated for the head restraint, and here then is a little bit more durable, and they even have a bio-based share in these seats. Optional, they still offer animal skin. The only thing I do criticize here is that the seat ventilation is connected to the animal skin. And that's of course not a way to, get customers to the animal-friendly material, So that should also include all the luxury features. I will also give the product expert detailed feedback about that this evening. But here the comfort itself is good, and the material is also nice and soft. You can also make this lower area here a little bit longer, like this. And headroom, well, this lowest position to the glass roof is totally fine, but here to the side gets a little bit close, but still fine for tall people. This steering wheel is already out, and lowest position there is, and you cannot do it manually in the higher trims. There's a low trim where you can still do it manual. Here you can still feel this indentation here, but here in this case then it works also with the infotainment system. The same goes for the side mirrors. I prefer the more easy classic solution. Then again, it can also be saved to your user account. Welcome to the cockpit of the Polestar 3. This looks all clean and, somehow closed, but you can still open that glove box. You have to press it here on the screen. Downside is you have to press it in the screen. Upside is that it's locked when the car is also not functional. So that is a good thing then for safety and so on. Here in this lower part, you have 2 USB-C chargers and this additional storage there. But I always I'm always aware that it's here positioned in the upright part, that it fits with the gaps left and right. OCD thing maybe. Then here adaptive cup holders, 4-dot design. You can also close that here. A lot of high gloss black use though. And if you have here play and pause button for the music system, volume up and down. So good to have this manual feedback there. Then here, soft for your elbow is soft enough, I would say. Yeah, maybe a little bit softer could it be. A lot of space underneath, and not sure. This area is still cool from the AC, but doesn't seem to be actively cool. But it seems to be that when the car is cooled by the AC, that this area is also staying somewhat cool. It's also interesting to know. Then you have this decor element right here with the Polestar logo in there. Soft touch on the top part. More from the speakers from the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. The good thing about this integrated dash here is that you can always see what's going on. So there's no moment where the steering wheel would block the view to that one. And I think it's also important that you have something in your line of sight. You can also get a head display. We have the box in the front right here. Other than that, here in front, the main infotainment unit, it's really large. You can very well see it. You have the Google integration here with native Google Map support. You still have Apple CarPlay as well. And you also now have a native Gemini support in this vehicle. So you can, this by the integrated Google Maps. So you can talk to Gemini like you talk to Gemini on your phone. And when you also connect your Google account, then you have the same history. You can talk to Gemini about some issues and then follow up the discussion later on your phone. So that really makes this whole Google cosmos. Rear seats, the rear door is also covered, and as I said, also acoustic windows in the rear. That's nice. And here also soft for your elbow, and this harder pack in the lower part. And the seats, Isofix on the outside. You also have this contrast here in the seat belt again. folding down this armrest is nicely done here from the design. And you also have some cup holes in here with these rubber lips in the front. There's also a small ski hatch you can, by the way, open right here. And here to release these seats, well, this is rather thought as a release and not to adjust it in the inclination or something like that. You do have enough space to the seats in the front. You sit relatively low though, and the floor is high because of that EV platform. That makes, of course, the angle here a little bit weird because my feet are just standing relatively high. But at least it's still comfortable from the seat, and you also have enough space. To the side here, however, it gets a little bit close. Then to the glass roof itself, it's fine. You always have this glass roof. However, you can optionally get electrochrome function. Then again, the heat filter is always included, and the electrochrome function doesn't change that. But still, you feel it's, yeah, this glass roof is getting very, very hot. Gotta say that. So it will always be hotter in comparison to a car that has like a fixed roof. So wow, this is astonishingly hot here underneath. And it depends, you know. For example, recently in the Mercedes GLC, it wasn't getting that hot actually. Then in the lower part, it's nice that you have this low even floor, USB-C charging in the lower part, and also a separate climate unit for the rear, and even seat heating in the rear. Again, if you have this additional Prime package. Let's start driving the Polestar 3 here in this update. We do not have the air suspension here, so looking forward to the test here, combination with 20-inch wheels, so we cannot adjust it here. We can adjust the steering to very light. This isn't super light, but I like it more firm with the steering control, so this is then a better, let's say, more natural feeling. Here also a little bit destroyed road. Let's really ride through destroyed parts. Yeah, that is a little bit rough then. But it's good that we have the 20-inch wheels. So sometimes people highly spec the vehicle, then have the air suspension, which does give you more comfort, but then you have 22-inch wheels and the potholes come through a little bit more. So the best would be if you go for the air suspension, but then with the smallest wheels possible in that combination, depending on how it is in your market. We can also adjust the one-pedal driving. Here we can also have a stronger recuperation, and you can adjust it also if you come to a complete stop, or if you go here for the creep. Here, if I deactivate it, comes to a full stop. If I activate the creeping function, then if I slightly go on throttle, press to response, then it creeps forward here a couple of kilometers, depending on how you like it. I usually do the creep function plus low recuperation and firm steering setting. And without air suspension, well, the good thing is that the car feels a little bit more connected to the driver and the road, so that's good. Might be also good for passenger driving then.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, so that's very important. On the other hand, the floaty air suspension gives you good comfort, and that's a nice exclusive feature I would also like to have in general. Let's now here go to this countryside road. We have the all-wheel drive. Wow, has a really good punch, right? Has a really good punch. Can do also acceleration like from it's like 35 to 100. Let's go. Nope, that's it. Wow. Yeah. Whew, that takes your breath away, really. I mean, this is like 4.7 seconds in this all-wheel drive trim, and it would be 3.9 with the performance pack, which is, I think, not needed. And then you also get the sport here setup for the air suspension. That doesn't make any sense, honestly. The performance pack, they try to get the money from you because, oh yeah, I want to have the sportiest performance setup and so on, but it doesn't make sense. It just gets you less comfort, and the extra in acceleration is just too much. It's just too much. This one is way more than enough already, definitely. Sometimes here from the steering column, some squeaking noises. Gotta notice that here directly. Yeah, on the brakes here, good feeling for that. Maybe not for the stomach. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the problem when you're like outside the city 100, then inside the city 50 again kilometers an hour, and then it goes like it's better when you like let it roll out before. But here in the firm setup, I think the steering feel is good. Yeah, this. I'm not sure where the squeaking. Maybe the squeaking noises maybe come from here. Here from this part. Yeah, so they can maybe fix that part here exactly. Yeah. That's where the squeaking noises come from. Maybe I should not touch it then. But they have good, you know, indentations here. Look similar to the BMW iX3 that you can really grab in there. So that's very well welcome to have that. And the most functions here, even though everything is in the screen, at least you know where the stuff is. Yeah, just to change the climate, you always have to look down, and then this two-step, not the biggest fan of that, honestly, and that the glass roof gets quite hot. These are two things that can definitely be improved. And the visibility to the rear is, somewhat limited, but it's still okay. Also the roundabout visibility, and you have the good seating comfort, upright seating position, so that also helps. And it's extremely silent. We have the
scary silent. Yeah.
Scary silent, yeah. And, two factors. We have the laminated windows here, the acoustic windows. That's one thing. But then there's also, since we have the Bowers & Wilkins sound system here in this premium or prime pack, we also have the active noise cancellation. And this is always up to discussion. Depending on how sensitive you are in that respect, I always feel that, because it's somewhat like that was a move. Somewhat like a vacuum feeling next to your ear. I think here it's still okay. It's not too strong. And the effect is that it's like double silent. So here, when you're like rolling through a city, it is almost surreal. So let's now go to the German Autobahn. Yeah, you can also accelerate smoother onto the Autobahn. Definitely it's easier than for Lear as well. Here at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Wow, so silent. It's crazy. And I wonder if it's then maybe louder on camera than we perceive. I don't know. That's also maybe something that might be interesting. Here now you have maybe seen the famous German Autobahn unlimited speed sign. Yay! So we can drive faster now, 130 kilometers an hour, 80 miles an hour, still very silent. Wow. And is it unpleasant next to your ear, or is it okay?
I'm fine, I think.
So for me, I think it's better than in the more extreme new EX.
I feel it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Unpleasant, yeah, it's fine, yeah. But it's better than the Volvo, yeah.
Yeah. So it depends, or I don't know. It's also something like, you can. Whoa, that was not a good idea. Interesting. It was such a screaming noise when opening the window at that speed. I haven't had that one before, but because people ask us like, hey, what about if you open the window? Yeah, you can do that, of course, or if you listen to music, and you feel a little bit less than I would say. But here, I think it's still okay, but you definitely have to take a test ride to see if you have the prime pack or Bowers & Wilkins system, if you're fine with that actually. Good acceleration also when we're still at speed, that's cool. And here even at higher speeds, super, super silent. And also suspension-wise, I think, especially here on the motorway, is also actually fine without the air suspension. The car remains very calm and stable. Nice views here also to the lake once again. So this is actually okay, So also when I'm here doing some lane change at higher speeds, the car remains pretty calm. So I would definitely say it's also suitable for the German Autobahn as for the whole driving feeling. As for the whole driving behavior, I'm quite happy. Any remarks from you? Yeah, so passenger Princess is also happy with the vehicle. So silent, refined, good suspension. You can live without the air suspension.
But I would wish for seat cooling.
Yeah, seat cooling with the leatherette seats.
Now
That's
33 degrees here in Germany, so it's very, very hot.
Temperatures in the 90s, so the seat cooling would be cool, and sadly not available with the leatherette, although Polestar always just like, we are so sustainable and so on. And I'm going to talk about the assistance systems, so you can also activate or deactivate the pilot assist. If you have the pilot assist activated, then it's also actively keeping the car in lane. It does do some corrections left and right here and there. It's on a better status than I was testing the car initially at the launch, definitely. So that's a good change. It's okay, but there are also, let's say, like calmer assistance systems. Meanwhile, the BMW ones, for example, lead the way at this moment. This one can also do an automated lane change. Gotta wait for some. The blind spot motor. By the way, you can also see like this. This strip, the red strip, then there in the side mirror. They're very beautiful because they have this frameless design there. And let's see about the automated lane change. It doesn't want to do it. That was like, I want to do it. Yeah, it's too busy at this moment. So of course that's the thing. The automated system, they really want to be sure what they're doing, so they always try to keep it very. Maybe I should break out. That's the thing. In that case, I'd rather do that myself and then maybe do the lane change back to the right lane. I think that's easier, because otherwise, we'll be here tomorrow still. So now we can do it like this, put the cruise control in, also to higher speed, and now do the lane change back, the automated one. Yeah, that's what I want to do. There we go. I'm not steering. There we go. And that's quite okay. But here now, when it is in the lane, and it's like so, not that it would be super bad, but not the calmest of assistance systems. Let's take it that way. And now we have to talk in depth about the battery, our consumption data for today, the efficiency, and of course the real world range. You've maybe seen our earlier inserts that on the outside they say 106 kilowatt hours and so on. And that is the gross figure, not the net usable one. It's 103 kilowatt hours for the big battery, so it's 106 to 103, the relation gross to net. And for the small one, it's 92 to 90. So 90 kilowatt hours is the net figure for the small one. And now some who maybe know this previous non-facelift version, wait a minute, what's going on here? So before it had 107 kilowatt hours net in both versions. So the bigger battery is now a little bit smaller, and the small battery wasn't there before. It was always at the same big size. And rarely do we have that the battery of a manufacturer with an upgrade gets smaller. I asked them about that as well, and they say it's of course about, they say like they overachieved anyway in the range, they say, and also that they need to meet a certain price point, and of course also profitability inside the company. So it's also an economic reason for sure. And then we also have to do our consumption calculation based on the net figures of these batteries. And when we do that, we did with topographic equalization each, here at very hot temperatures, 31 degrees Celsius, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very good because the air is less dense. And that's why the higher the temperature is, the better the consumption result for electric vehicles, because cooling down the cabin doesn't make so much difference. Heating up the cabin in winter times, that is way worse, and even worse is heating up the battery in winter times. So in summer times, the electric vehicles feel very nice as for the consumption and so on. So we have at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, 16 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, good result. 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour means a real range for the big battery of 645 kilometers or 400 miles. Then at 130 kilometers an hour, 80 miles an hour, we are at 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, means a real range then for the big battery at 450 kilometers or 280 miles. So overall good results, of course, in these nice temperatures. As for pricing, in Europe starts lower than 80,000 euros for the small battery rear-wheel drive. Then if you go all-wheel drive and the big battery is of course more expensive. As it stands here right now, with good equipment, not everything, you can stay under 100,000 euros. If you go for the performance pack, then it's actually even higher than 100,000 euros. The US dollar prices, because this is also here built in North America, they are a little bit lower, and also they don't include VAT. So you can deduct like some 10, 15K or something from this price, and then you get also the North American prices. So more affordable than in the States than in Europe. So it's already in a very high price region. And as I said, also a sister of the Volvo EX90. If you haven't seen that review, you can check it out right now here. And of course, there are more German electric competitors to this one as well.